Oh, hello there. Yes, well, new bits of kit. We'll see how these things work out. Not really quite sure. Undoubtedly going to change over the next few days once I've kind of settled into this. New camera and monitor and things. Hopefully going to work. Anyway, yes, yesterday was the whole yes, Sundays, the usual politics stuff, and there wasn't really a lot going on other than Nigel Farage deciding he's going to prosecute people. I think that's going to end in tears for him, but that's another story because of course it won't end in tears because that's not the way it's going to be reported. But leaving aside private prosecutions, not quite sure that's going to work. Anyway, leaving aside private prosecutions, we did have the intriguing story that the Daily Telegraph ran with, keeping with their running about Alison Pearson, about all the dreaded lefties what are in control of absolutely everything, and you can't even say your English anymore, or words to that effect. Yes, we had the less than gorgeous and less than pouting Julie Brindle, who made the front page all day long with her tale of woe about something that happened 5 years ago that didn't appear to be an issue then or subsequently, but that doesn't really matter because Julie Brindle lives in that glorious place whereby anything she says or does instantaneously becomes very important because she doesn't like trans people. And if you're engaged in basically having a go at the left generically, then that's going to meet the criteria, even though it's a non-story. Which leads us, of course, into the whole Alison Pearson thing, which is getting more and more sort of deep and complicated because if you actually think about it, or look into it, you realise that this isn't what the newspapers are presenting you with at all. So, for example, with the Julie Brindle story, which was a tale of woe from 2019, and you do have to say to yourself, oh gosh, I wonder who the Prime Minister was at that time, and of course it was Boris Johnson, who apparently was really, really appalled at all the things that happened, when he was Prime Minister, which he presumably could have put a stop to, but didn't. And the reason why the last Tory government didn't do anything about this, or the previous Tory government, 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 I think that's all of them, was of course that it's a total non-issue and it gives them loads and loads of leverage to just generically have a go at, well, people like me, because isn't it dreadful that you can't say anything these days? Like, if you're Julie Brindle, for example. Or maybe not. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, we do actually have free speech in this country because that's the way it works. I'm doing this now. Might not last forever, but I appreciate that. So we had all the usual suspects sort of piling in. We had Lord Young's boy, Toby, did like this. Policing hate speech is just the latest method of enforcing left-wing orthodoxy. You see, which is the thing in a nutshell, because of course what they don't like is the idea that you might be presented with, well, bad ideas, which you might agree with. One of the reasons some of you are here, of course. And I do have to smile about left-wing orthodoxy because, of course, what we've had for 40 years is very right-wing orthodoxy. And anyway, Toby Young, Lord Young's boy, is very keen on not telling us exactly what's going on, as indeed is the Daily Telegraph, because having had a little peek at the various bits of information that there is actually available about Alison Pearson, it becomes a bit murkier than merely a dreadful, dreadful woman being hounded on very solemn day of the year. Yes, so anyway, the Times decided to go with something that was good. Police released transcript to rebut a columnist Alison Pearson claim. Officers at the centre of the free speech row involving an allegedly offensive tweet by the Telegraph columnist have sought the advice of prosecutors. Oh dear, I hope she hasn't done anything wrong again, but it's worthwhile unpacking this, so bear with me here, okay? Yesterday, however, Essex Police took the unusual step of publishing an extract of Pearson's conversation with the officers, taken from body-worn cameras. You know, all those things that people wanted? Well, they're here now, might come back to bite you, to dispute her claim that she'd been accused of a non-hate crime incident, which, if you recall, was what the newspapers still are jumping up and down about. According to a police transcript, one of the officers said it's gone down as an incident or offence of potentially inciting racial hatred online. Something else. That would be the offence. Yes. The force added in the statement, Essex Police supports free speech. Good, you'd expect that from a police force in a democratic society. It does not support inaccuracy. Lord Young's boy, the Telegraph, Boris Johnson. If an alleged crime is reported, it's investigated. Yeah, can't have that two-tier policing, can we? There is no public interest in falsehood. Well done, boys in blue. Women in blue, and other people that may or may not identify as something in blue. Hurrah! The Guardian has reported that the tweet under investigation featured an image of two Asian men holding a flag of a Pakistani political party flanked by smiling police officers, which is where we get into it. Pearson appears to have confused the flag with that of Hamas. Maybe not. Posting the stuff up in a rush if you're a journalist, eh? Which is banned in Britain, and retweeted the post last November, mistakenly accusing the police of siding with Jew haters. Oh, it's starting to sound a bit racial, isn't it? During a wave of pro-Palestinian protests in the UK. She deleted her post the next day when others pointed out the error. Yes, good for them. But maybe if she hadn't posted in the first place, then none of this would have happened. But of course, that isn't going to stop a conscientious journalist from actually doing the right thing, is it? Possibly. The person who complained to the police told The Guardian Pearson tweeted something that had nothing to do with Palestine or the London protests. Her description of the two people of colour holding the flag as Jew haters is racist and inflammatory. Yes, which is why the coppers turned up. Subtly different from all the stuff we've been told recently. But, it does get better. Pearson said she may have misunderstood what the police officers told her. Oh, I was pretty shocked, she said. I wish I'd recorded it. I wrote down as much as I could remember of what the police said just after they left. My tweet was definitely not racist. I was criticising the police, not a protected characteristic group, which they're not. There's nothing protected or characteristically protected or otherwise about Pakistani people, unfortunately. It's perfectly legal to criticise the police. Yes, except, of course, that isn't what was being presented to us, was it? It's illegal, it's an offence, it's against the law to stir up racial hatred in this country. Sorry, but it just is. I don't care what your meaning is. Don't do it. I didn't mean to burn the house down. Isn't an excuse if the house got burnt down. You need to deal with the consequences, don't you, Alison, Toby, Boris? Oh, maybe not, because of course people from this class don't have any consequences for their action. They are immune. And just following on from this, I was just astounded by this because I'll leave a link to this below, but I can't get my head round this particular piece in the Telegraph, whether or not it's actually serious, because it's from Sophia, unfortunate name which gives away her class position. Yeah, her. She said, I was cancelled for telling cold students to put on a jumper. Which actually she wasn't, but what she means by this, and I think it's supposed to be a satirical piece, but with the Telegraph it's absolutely impossible to tell because right-wingers don't do satire. But anyway, yeah, apparently according to this, some people disagreed with her on Twitter, which is where we get into the whole cancel culture, because like it or not, and I'm guessing that this is supposed to be once again a humorous piece, but you see the thing is that these people do earnestly believe that they shouldn't be criticised, that if people like me point out that Sophia is saying something ridiculous, or Alison or Toby, that is somehow infringing on their rights. And yet, if you think about it from a class-based position, because inevitably that's what I'm going to do, these people have something of a much more direct impact on my life in terms of the utter bilge that they throw out there in terms of creating, for example, quite a nasty atmosphere which is quite racist in this country, something I don't want to live with. I'm sorry, why should I have to? I thought we had laws in this country to prevent people like Alison simply throwing down racist things without thinking about it. Have a think. Now that's not people like me suggesting it's a thought crime. I'm just saying, make sure you don't do things that harm people. There's nothing wrong with insisting that. And if people can't do it, then that's why we have laws, isn't it? Yes, to protect us from the idiots of the world that work for the Daily Telegraph. Anyway, it is nice occasionally to have a subscription to the Times, and you can actually read these things because, after all, these days you have to pay for the truth, don't you? Otherwise you end up with being force-fed with the stuff that they want to give you for free, and it really is thin gruel. Anyway, that was a bit vitriolic, wasn't it? Do have a lovely beginning to the week, Weekstart, probably. And I don't know, is it Christmas yet? Phew, enjoy.